Hello, everyone. This is DDM, Diaspora Digital Media, once again. And you're welcome to the program as it happen. Things are happening in Nigeria, and today we're taking on two very simple ones, but they're actually trending. The first one is there's a wider perspective to the BBC TB Joshua saga. As the first thing we'll be delving into. The second one would be some sort of good news or something like that. Our president has decided to cut down on cost of travel. That's great. With me in the house, I have Musa Ebayaya. And I
Thank you.
also have Nicholas, who is well, they will all introduce themselves fully in case you have not met them before. And
Mhm.
there is the indefatigable cyborg Kevin Jacko back with us today. And of course, my host, Alex Chigoze from the Abuja studios. Gentlemen, you are welcome to As It Happen on Diaspora Digital Media. So
Yeah.
we'll cut straight through the chase. Let me start with Musa
Hmm.
Ebayaya. What about the TB Joshua BBC documentary saga? Introduce yourself briefly
Yeah.
and just throw in the comments.
Okay. My name is Musa Ebayaya. I'm a development practitioner and also a social entrepreneur from Niger State. I'm happy to be here again today. Yesterday we had a very fruitful discussion here, and I love this topic that you are bringing in, even though I missed part of it yesterday. Um, you know, for Niger,
Okay,
I mean for
Mr.
hello,
Mr. Ebabaya,
sorry, yeah, can you hear me?
it's like your audio is shaking. Is it just me? How is it there?
Oh,
Uh,
oh,
Alex, are you hearing him clearly? Oh, beautiful.
okay,
Then hit on.
okay,
Should be
all
my
right.
mic. Carry on
So
then.
I,
Yes.
I just like I've mentioned, I love this topic. I narrowly missed it yesterday. No, I missed it yesterday. I couldn't be a part of the discussion session with you. Um, it is always, particularly the foreign medias. From what I got to the experience, they always reported many negative things about Nigeria. So I'm a Muslim, and I want to tell you that I listen to man of God alone, particularly uh, uh, the Malans, the pastors. I respect them a lot because you realize that they always you always have opportunity to listen to words of wisdom from them, words from God, and then I wouldn't want a situation whereby a certain foreign media will come and be condemning a man of God with the caliber like the late TB Joshua. Do you know? I get to know about TB Joshua and with a friend, with a Ghanaian friend. In fact, I was in Nigeria and I couldn't even know anybody by the name TB Joshua until I was in Accra, one of these visits to Accra. And then a friend was telling me about visiting to Nigeria, a proposed visit to Nigeria to at least attend to at least one of the congregations of TB Joshua. So I quickly ask, I quickly search and then discover that about what TB Joshua has been doing in Nigeria. So you realize that I read very many positive things about TB Joshua, and then which I expected that the foreign media should carry compared to the negative things they are carrying about TB Joshua. I expected that they should also report some positive things about TB Joshua than the negative aspect of his lifetime. I I listened to some of the time that he is preaching. He was preaching while he was alive, and I want to tell you that I've had a beautiful preaching session from TB Joshua as a person. So I expected that we should listen to some of these positive things than the negative aspect of his life. You know, also we are doing a lot of damages to ourselves, particularly our country. The Nigerians, instead of us to defend some of these negative things that have been portrayed by the foreign medias by Nigeria, we always accept them the way they presented it to them. I've never listened to
mm,
any foreign media carrying a negative thing about their country at all. But they always like to at least portray Africans, Nigerians as everything about Africa and Nigerians being negative, which to me personally I don't want to accept. You
you
know,
know, yeah.
I was listening to one documentary the other time where so many people were saying, I mean, no, the person that was anchoring that very what did they call it documentary was saying that there is a deliberate effort by the foreign nations to at least get rid of our culture. And if I said culture, I mean even the religion. They want to also get rid of it so that they can instill on us Western practices, which they are always
Mm.
succeeding. So I expected that there should be a lot of many positive things to be reported by the late TB Joshua than the negative things that they are
All
reporting about him.
right.
Mhm.
All right, man.
Yeah.
That was quite a perspective to it. You know, whatever is said concerning any Nigerian has been said concerning almost all Nigerians. Blanket statements fly, whether we like it or not. And people will try to, say, okay, where is it from? Nigeria. Ah, what do you expect? But let's call a spade a spade. It's good for us to balance most of these issues as we have them come. And well, let me hear from our guests first. Then we can now see how it's going to flow. Nicholas, you are welcome. Please introduce yourself and let's have what the vibe is from your angle about TB Joshua BBC documentary.
Thank you for having me here. My name is Nicholas Uwerumoye. I am a journalist. I have been in this job, particularly in the area of investigative reporting, for close to 25 years. I
Mm.
I'm going to look at the BBC TB Joshua, expose from the professional angle as a journalist myself. I'm going to comment on that. I'm going to comment on the issue of, you know, the Nigerians, especially, given the current documentary from the British News Corporation. Uh, let me start by talking at the professional angle. You see, the thing is this: uh, there are certain things we need to understand. There is no such thing as every media institution will always have a bias. There will always be a bias, because of proprietary interest, because of cultural, values, because of cultural perception, politics, and all this. So you will definitely have a bias. But what we strive to do professionally is to strike a balance. And under that circumstance, that is where I think BBC missed it a great deal. And that is why that documentary is coming, is getting a lot of flags, from the public. And equally too, I must say that uh, BBC in running that documentary raised quite a lot of issues. I'm going to concede that to them. On the one hand, the one side of the knife cuts us as Nigerians, because you see, what he has put out there is not new. Let me tell you, personally, that TB Joshua, as far as I can remember, we are talking of close to 20 years ago, most of what was said had already been exhausted in the media space. And if you want to know, let me tell you certain instances like where I caught my professional teeth fire, formally as a journalist, Insider Weekly magazine. It was an investigative weekly in those days. I do know of a particular project we worked on when a man that claimed to be uh, one of the co-founders of that synagogue came to us, in the newsroom. He told us what at first appeared to be an outlandish story that they set up that church. He told me the background, where exactly, TB Joshua came from. I was one of the list. I was one of the people that interviewed him. And, to put this in perspective, let me tell you, the person that eventually anchored that story happened to be Wilson Owujare. I'm sure you must have heard of Wilson Owujare, who only recently, was moved up at the EFCC. He was there for several years. He was the spokesman of EFCC. At that time, he was my editor. He actually taught me how to write. He anchored that story. I think he did a kind of explosive piece, balanced piece on that because on the basis of what the complainant, let me just put it that way, came what he came to tell us in the newsroom. He spilled a lot of things. In fact, there was one of the hallmark of one of the things he said in those days was about the wife of a prominent musician, King Sonny Ade. He said some things about, why the woman died, one of the wives died. And, Insider Weekly in those days used to be very, very robust in terms of editorial package, personnel. At that time, I recall that we had one of somebody I consider one of the best Thai writer we had in the country at that time, Ladi Ayodeji. Ladi Ayodeji has reported King Sonny Ade for decades. So he was even able to corroborate that. Well, not the issue of the TB Joshua thing, that woman actually died of that same prognosis, that the man spoke about. You know, so you know, in the absence of verifying, the exactitude of what the man brought on board, we were forced to do a balanced story, having to go there.
mm,
The ones that we cannot verify, we couldn't report it. But you see, about 3 months later, that same man went to one news magazine. In those days, it's a defunct magazine now. It's called Treasure Magazine. Treasure Magazine was just one of those, by the side, by the wayside kind of, publication. But, he did an interview on that particular man. And for the next 3 or 6 months, Treasure Magazine was a complete sellout. It was, it was a hot cake everywhere. They print and they sell everything. And that happened for a very long time. So what I'm trying to say is that you see the issue of TB Joshua and controversy are like twins. See, I may say twins. It has always been there. And as long as he's a public figure, there will always be controversies about him, whether he's alive or he's dead. Now, I this is not to say whether this is true or not, but you see, there is this thing we have. There is no smoke without fire. When you have those kind of controversies surrounding one person, or definitely, there could be some elements of truth there, or there may be some explanation as to why those controversies trend about the man. But you see, where I kind of fault the BBC is that, number one, stories like that, there must be a kind of balance. There must be an attempt at balance. The man in question is dead, so he
mm.
cannot really answer for himself. You know, that is on the one hand.
Wow.
Then I would have loved a situation where I see more of background in that. Okay, yeah, these stories have been done before. Raise issues like why do we have this kind of things happening in Nigeria? Where you have men of God. I'm not particular about any religion this time around. Men of God, doing things with brazenness. They just get away with anything. In fact, there were so many stories about TB Joshua that I can't even exhaust here. In fact, there was a particular case I listened to from an operative of NDLEA, that effected an arrest on him. Yeah. yeah, effected an arrest on him. It was expressly, it was expressly ordered by late Bamayi, Musa Bamayi, the first NDLEA, DG at that time, that he intends, I think Bamayi was traveling out of the country at that time, and gave him an instruction that he wants TB Joshua to be put in bangles. Bangles is handcuff. That was the narration he gave me at
Wow.
that time, and you
Hmm.
know, he narrated what happened when they went to arrest him, and the members came out, and they had to, they have to wield their guns, you know, before they could make away with him. But interestingly, according to this person, this operative,
Well,
that
yes, Nick.
orders came from high above. Orders came from high above. The number two man at that time, I don't want to mention name, you know, ordered that he should be released. So TB
Okay.
Joshua
So,
is a controversial man, very very controversial man. Let's not take that away. But
all right.
I
All right, Nick.
expect. Okay, let me just pause. Do
Man, you are really
you want me to
loaded
continue?
there. Yeah. I remember there are sometimes, yes, in when the synagogue church like came into full bloom, there was always this skepticism. Come, are you sure this is for real? Avina, Yahoo, Yahoo plus plus, all sorts of things were flying. But it's like he kept his ground, and very few people want to speak about it. In fact, I remember there was a time some local pastors were afraid of associating themselves with the church. Yes, but then we need
Exactly.
to
Yeah.
strike the balance. Like, yeah, you've brought forward. Did these things really happen? I don't know. And what the BBC is bringing out, somebody was saying they're even being diplomatic about it and considering the history. We expect that organization like the BBC has credibility and they know the implication of having
Let me,
anything less than credible. However, that's just my thought. I'll
yeah,
call on Kevin. I mean, Kevin,
yeah.
what's your take?
Let me just give a little tips. I think to me, BBC didn't see the backlash coming. Nigeria is a deeply religious country, so I think the few last out there for a while, I haven't watched a video. What on the street on the response to the TB Joshua issue on the streets. Like somebody went out there to feel the pulse of Nigerians, and many of them were not really happy about the article. This is based on what Mr. Nick just said. This is not the first time we're hearing of something like this. Like I said yesterday, we have somebody who is already in death row. I don't know why it's still on death row, Mr. Reverend King, if you all can remember. Understand? So
Uh-huh.
but I think Nigeria is a deeply religious country, so the backlash should be there. We don't expect the article to go down well with a lot of Nigerians. So that is exactly what we are seeing. We most Nigerians have probably expected better reportage from the foreign media, like what other things are going on in the country. So that's just what I feel about this whole issue. I think. It doesn't go down well with a lot of Nigerians, actually, the reporting itself. But we know that a lot of things may be happening. This was a
Hmm.
review that Nick just did just now. So that's over to you, Mr. Rompan.
Well, well, this is quite a complex yet interesting issue, man. I don't know, Alex, you want to say something about this? Okay. Alex is busy on the other side. So this is something that will be difficult for us to conclude, but at least I think we have been able to give it some kind of shape to be professional about it. Musta Ebayaya, 2 minutes if you have any parting comments on this topic. Then we go to Nick for a 2 minutes parting comment.
Yeah, I still want to say that for TB Joshua, I know he has done so many good things during his life, and
Yeah.
just like you have mentioned, I know nobody is very perfect, but as a Muslim, I and also uh, somebody that I have opportunity to have listened to some of the preachings. I think I was able to get some things, one or two things from him. So I don't think I want to say any negative thing about him because the bad side, I have not been having the opportunity to see a bad side. But the good side that I've seen, I don't think I am in the position to say anything bad about TB Joshua. Thank you. Mm.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Nick.
Yeah, well, my take is very simple. Um, I expected BBC to look into the governance area that allows things like that to happen without check. You know, every country has issues of demagogues, religious demagogues like TB Joshua and the rest of them. Like in America, you had Koresh. One, you have Reverend Jones. These were demagogues that, the activity
Mm,
led to a lot of deaths. A lot of deaths that they had to
mm,
bring in the FBI. There was one instance where there was a 52-day siege or something like that. But the thing about America is there are always strong institutions that check things like this. So I would have expected BBC to do us a story about why things like this don't work, why we don't have governance issue. In fact, there was an instance where the Federal Reporting Council recently, not in the recent past, wanted to make a policy, made a law that once you are the GO of a religious institution for 8 years, you resign, you allow somebody, just like you have in other corporate institution. But you can imagine what happened. The guy who was in charge of that committee, what's the name again? What's the name of that? Obaze, is it Jeff Obaze or something like that? Was forced to leave office. you know. So
mm-hmm,
that's how complex Nigeria is when it comes to we are multi-religious, we are deeply religious community. And let us not lose sight of the fact that I think that it is not by accident that we are what we are. I think that religious institutions play a great deal of role. I believe that in the absence of this religious institution, Nigeria will be very unmanageable, considering the multiplicity of ethnic interests that we have in Nigeria. So somehow they have a role to play in way of calming nerves and not letting things go haywire. So to a large extent, you see government patronizing them. Maybe that's why you have that instance where that is as it were that orders came up from above to allow TB Joshua go. So that is my take. I think that BBC should have done something, towards putting the government institution on check too. Why things like this happen. Why is it so difficult to get them to act when there are complaints about abuses, in this
mm-hmm.
institution? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
very
Let me
much,
jump.
gentlemen.
Yeah, let me jump in. I
Okay.
believe I
Go.
agree with exactly what Mr. Nicholas said because Mr. Nicholas just said something very important. He said the religion and these religious institutions have really helped in putting Nigerians at bay. You understand? In the sense that it has helped in terms of social vices, making a lot of people not to go out on the streets. You understand? Because there are churches who help a lot, who have to some extent, who have really helped the society a lot. If not, if there were no churches, I believe a lot of people will actually be on the street. I want to read what somebody, a celebrity, said yesterday on TB Joshua. It was actually one of the housemates in Big Brother Nigeria some time back. His name is Fraud. This was what he said. He said, TB Joshua paid my school fees in 2013. I don't know, the 2013. And he
Mm-hmm.
gave me 8,000 naira per day for a whole year. See, that's one of the impact that these religious institutions make to the society, even against the bad governance that we have. Understand? We know if you have societies out there in the Western world, they have social programs to keep these people at bay. Understand? But churches here have really helped a lot to make a lot of people not to go outside out there. So I think to some extent, we should also recognize the impact of these churches in the society. So
Yeah.
that's my take.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Yeah.
What baffles me about all this, Kevin, is we are in Nigeria and these things are happening, quote and unquote, in Nigeria. This is news about Nigeria. This is news that would either make or mar the image of us as a people. Like Nick said, don't we have institutions responsible to follow these things up? Don't we have institutions responsible to check if they suspect anything is going wrong? We have
Mm,
the EFCC. We have even non-governmental
yeah.
organizations, the civil society. Why should it
Mm,
be that it's from outside that we are checked? Why
yeah.
can't we check ourselves? Because
And that is
we
the
can
problem.
argue, we can throw in a tantrum, but what are we doing about it? However, having said that, it is always good to celebrate life. Like in the African culture, once somebody is with you, you can fight with the person. But if the person is no more, you are fighting, you can't fight with him again. We call it the last respect because we value the relationship we have had with such a person, quote and unquote. No one is perfect. People do bad, people do good. Everyone has a bit of good and bad in him. So within the African context, it's almost like a taboo. But if it happened and nothing is done, what would be the result? Should it be that if one is found wanting, he can go free until he dies? Definitely not. But that is a talk for another day. Nick, Ebaya, Kevin, thanks for your powerful contributions. Now let's take a ride and look at something else. Nigerians had at the beginning of this in administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu complained. Recently, there was this trip to Dubai, and a whole number of jets were taken off. Each one of them entitled to his own stipends, estacode in dollars, and eight, 20, 30, or above for each of them, just flying all over the country when Nigerians are dying, committing suicide, even on camera. And it's like something has happened. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has decided to cut down on the cost of travel. So, do we celebrate or do we look at it critically?
He cut down on the cost of travel, like most people will say on the internet atmosphere. That's audio cutting. We've not seen anything yet. We actually don't really trust what's going on out there. The cost of governance. If I really go to cut the cost of governance, and we have the National Assembly out there. We are seeing what's going on in the ministry. I think to a lot of people, those are just hearsay. We need to really see, we need to really see action going on. The economic outlook out there is not something that is friendly for a lot of people. A lot of people are going through a lot of hardship, and see what the government is doing, spending frivolously, borrowing here and there, and coming to tell us that they've cut off 40% from his entourage. A lot of people look at it as anything. To me, we just feel that like some people say, this audio cutting, we've not seen anything yet. Until the man out there on the street begins to on the man out there on the street begins to feel the impact of governance. Things begin to
mhm.
calm down. Well, we won't believe anything we hear believe anything we hear from the government. To me, I don't think this is just saying something out there, saying one thing and not doing anything. As in, talk is cheap. That's my take. Over to you, sir.
Ebaya, Ebaya, what's the
Yes,
feeling
sir.
there? I can see you are
Yeah,
smiling.
uh, you mentioned this issue of poverty, which is striking anybody. One of my friend was telling me that the other time when I was complaining, he said everybody must collect, whether we like it or not. Everybody
We are already
should be
collecting.
collecting. So it I was happy to hear that this morning when I woke up to see the news. Um, I expected, just like Mr. Kevin had mentioned, let us see to it implementation, because it is one thing to say something, and then it has another thing to implement in Nigeria. I think when the issue of traveling for, is it this to Dubai the other time, was trending. Someone mentioned experience of United States of America, where they usually don't send delegates, just like we did usually do in Nigeria. Um, I think what he said is, he said what usually used to happen in these countries, and most of these developed world nations, is they look at their embassy, and then look at the subject of a particular conference, and then send delegate based on your area of expertise, just like what happened the other time in Dubai. If they realize that they in the embassy there, they have some people that has relevant expertise, they recommend that person to at least attend to such conference instead of sending delegate from a particular country, and then to, so that they can reduce cost. So I expected that, aside from reduce slashing down the entourage, maybe to maybe 60%, just like I saw. We should also emulate what these developed nations are doing. You don't have to send someone when you already have a certain person that have already that can fit into that purpose. Why are you even sending a delegate from Nigeria? So I expected that if we have, like in nations that we in subsequent event, if we have, we should look at our embassies, and then pick one or two staff to represent Nigeria, particularly if the president must not be there, instead of sending in delegate from Nigeria, and then spending a lot of money on such event. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that strikes a
Mm.
chord. Why don't leverage
Well,
on technology? Have the whole thing
yeah,
on Zoom or something like
Yeah.
that. Nick,
Mm.
we can have a lot of, we can cut down
well, you see,
on cost. Yeah, we can cut down on cost, but then we could have like 10 visits a week. I mean, how do we benefit?
well,
How do we see the benefits trickling down, Nick?
see, the thing is this. You see, that pronouncement itself is the clearest demonstration that there is a deep, how do I put it? There is a huge administrative illiteracy at the federal level. You see, let me tell you, it's not about saying that I will cut so percentage. No, that is what they have been saying all this while. In fact, a few days after, a day after, I think was it yesterday, I saw it, side by side with what he said, 60% cost in this thing, they brought what Buhari said to. Buhari said he was going to sell all the aircraft in the presidential fleet. Not one was sold. So we've always had series of that this circle of failure in governance. And you see,
Mm,
let me give you an example of how things make a difference in fiscal governance. When you say you are going to save certain percentage of money, it should be clear and organic where it's going to trickle into. A good example, 2000,
mm,
2011, 2012 subsidy removal. The government was all over the place saying that, look, we are taking this percentage out of the subsidy thing, and this is where we are going to put it. We are going to put it in show P. We are going to buy so number of vehicles. You are going to see it on the street. That was exactly what the man did. Even though this same crop of people said he wasn't doing it well, that there was corruption here and there, they made all manners of dim. So what I expect is not just to tell me that you are going to cut 60% from from whatever. How much will it amount to, and where will it go to?
Thank you.
Those are the things that Nigerians want to hear. You see, these are practical demonstration of gains of whatever policy you enunciate and you promote in your administration. So telling me you are going to call 60%, okay, from now on, I'm going to take 25% of my this thing, 25%, 25 personnel to within Nigeria, 20 personnel to wherever. It does okay. Yes, you are going to take out of 60. Okay, fine. That money, where is it going to go to? You see, these are some of the things we need to start adverting ourselves to in Nigeria. It's not just about making platitudes, making promises that this is what we are going to do. No, we have moved beyond that. And that is why we are not getting any results whatsoever. They say things, and before you know, everybody will start clapping. They were putting it all over the place, thinking that Nigerians are going to applaud. The Nigerians will applaud. But Nigerians are far deeper. You see, the only place that is not growing, where knowledge is not growing at all in Nigeria, is in the area of governance. From local government to state government, and that is where you have that is the biggest form of illiteracy, financial administrative illiteracy. It's no longer as it used to be. You see, the average Nigerian knows. You tell an average Nigerian that this is where I go to tell you that look, all those ones we've had it before. Why? Because you are not convincing. So that is my take about it. You see, normally when you say things like this, that's the question I raise as a journalist. 60%, you are going to reduce it by 60%. Okay, fine. Commendable. How much does it amount to? How much are you going to save from there? And where are you going to put the money? Those are critical questions we should be talking about.
Hmm.
You look at the case of, there was a story we promoted earlier this morning, um, Chidoka. Chidoka, that's the former Minister of Aviation, Osita Chidoka.
Okay.
He was asking that he doesn't think that the ministerial retreat they had, they really gained anything from it. Well, what did they learn from there? Because these were supposed to be issues that would have been trashed out. Because one of the campaign issues was wastage in governance. Those were the campaign issues. So that should be at the front burner. So when this Edu woman went there, it was, he went into a system where there was no governance whatsoever. System failure all round. That's why whoever that is the PAMSEC, who was supposed to have made sure that everything followed protocol, was the chief person cutting corners and putting the principal in trouble.
Hmm.
That is what we are. That is what is happening in Nigeria. It's as simple as that. There is no beating about the bush or whatsoever. No. Look, the case of, anyway, maybe we'll go, but maybe that will be the last topic we'll be talking about. But the fact is, we need to go beyond what we've been doing and hasn't been working. We need to evolve a more organic way of measuring policy statement and policy pronunciation, policy implementation. That is what this whole issue is all about. That is what the whole issue of failure in governance, failure in administration is all about. The inability
Mm-hmm.
to measure it. Osita said what he said, coming from a background where things like that were implemented and there were measurable consequences. For instance, within 2001, 2020, 2021, 2024, there was a significant reduction in the corruption perception of Nigeria by Transparency International. What happened? It wasn't as if there weren't people stealing. There are people still stealing, but you see, all those areas that allows people to perceive corruption were reduced. That was why Transparency International and a lot of investors were able to see progress. They were able to see organic progress. Okay, yes, he said he has going to do this. He has given us figures we can work with. Tinubu hasn't given us any figure to work with that pronouncement. It's as simple as
My
that.
goodness. Quite powerful there. It's not only talking, but you have to walk the talk. And there's a lot to be done because
Exactly.
Nigeria is at risk in all that we're doing. Anyway, Kevin, any final thoughts on that as we prepare to wrap up?
Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to chip in that. Let me just stress what a leading presidential candidate in the last presidential election said. He said, You say things like this and you don't put figures into it. Tell us what is wrong with you. Tell us how much you spend, how much you have been spending on your entourage. At least we'll know. Put a figure into it. They won't. But now they are coming to tell us down that
Exactly.
they've reduced it by 60%.
60%.
How much is how much is the 60%? When we say tell us,
What
okay,
is
you are sick,
60%? 60% of what?
you are sick, for instance, what is wrong with you? You won't tell
Yeah.
us. But you enter a private jet and you are out of the country. What is wrong with you? What is your health problem? You won't tell. How much did you spend on this? You won't tell us. But now you just want to give us an impression that you are doing something about it. See, you don't even need to announce it. What are you announcing? Telling us that you are redeeming your entourage. Your entourage. You don't need to announce that. That's something on the side. You do on the side. The other things you are supposed to be doing in the economy to bring down the cost of governance, not just reducing your. And I'm sure a lot of economic pundits they are laughing right now at this one. You should bring a press statement that you are reducing the cost of governance. I think we can do better than that. Honestly, we can do better than this. That's the truth. Thank you, sir.
It actually struck me like 60% of what? Let's have the full figure. Let's know what is actually going on so we can appreciate it better. Abi.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe the figure
exactly.
is actually. No, I actually feel like maybe the figure is actually. They've actually looked at the figure and the figure is actually extra large,
Mm,
extra large. Maybe they've actually looked at their entourage for the last. The entourage that went, was it Coppers or Cop that went to Dubai? They already looked at the figures and discovered
Mm.
that look, this whole thing was so large. A lot of unnecessary celebrities were in that entourage. That we saw even talking back, a lot of people in that entourage. And then maybe the perception they come to realize that look, our administration is just starting. We need to create a good impression. In fact, most people like for the better saga, people are not happy that she was suspended. We can do much better than that. And coming out to say that you've reduced cost of your entourage, they should put a figure into it. Let us know how much actually it was actually. So that's my take actually. Mr. Pam. Thank you.
yes, Nick, your closing remarks on this topic.
Mm. Well, what I will, my advice is this: I, I'm a product of figure calculation, organic process. I do more
Yeah.
of development reporting. You know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, by and large, we cannot say wholesale that the president hasn't been trying. That would be unfair to him because I can see that he's making efforts. Oh yes, he is. You know, but you see, those were the issues that he would have allowed the public to question him on, because I think that the moment he was shielded from facing public scrutiny, he was going to run into problems like this. Definitely. Because it's only when, but this is Nigeria where we hide things. The only thing we know how to do well in Nigeria is to hide what is in plain sight, what everybody can see. We know how to hide it. And you don't run a governance in a global village that way. So I think going forward, in fact, even with this particular one, I mean, let him get the feelers. How much will it's not too late for him. He just started barely a year ago. Well, it's all out that he's out to rubbish his predecessor. So he can go ahead and finish him once and for all. Bring all the figures that they used to travel in those days and say, okay, in the previous last 8 years, this is how much the president used to travel with. I am going to reduce it. That's the 60%. Hey, we know the person
Mm-hmm.
that you are aiming at is no longer relevant. It's a way of making a clean break. You give us a figure and say, okay, this is where we are taking the money into. A very good example is one presidential candidate who said while he was a governor that he asked this issue of security votes. He said that, well, that was the first time I knew that the security vote is unconstitutional, that what you have is contingency funds. That he
Mm,
was that he could spend as much as was he 10 or 12 billion a year. Then he then said, okay, fine. I need to buy generator for schools. I need to do
yeah.
this for schools. Take so amount of money and put it into projects. You understand? He was able to see
Yeah,
that, he was able to say that, from the background of he has knowledge and he has no intention to steal.
yeah.
So, yeah, it's so difficult for Nigerians to hear. Of course, by merely saying this, people know who I'm talking about, but I'm not going to mention names here. But I think you should let try. Nigerians. I mean, leaders should. There was sorry. I kind to be a bit staggered in my. There was this conference I attended with Afikunyomi, a former senator in Lagos.
Mm,
He was going for his second time, and the person with idea, the man with idea was campaigning under NCP, Ganifa Women's Party. What's his name? Arugundade. Yes, I remember. Arugundade has fantastic ideas to put forward if he became the senator then. So I attended a press conference, the selected press conference of editors, with Afikuyomi. And there was something Afikuyomi said that struck me. He
okay.
said, Arugundade has all the ideas. He has the luxury of it. A one-time senator. I don't have the luxury. So what do I do? I'm going to pick his ideas when I become the senator and use it to my own good. You see, there is nothing wrong in picking ideas from people you know have it.
Absolutely.
So that is my take about this. There were a lot of issues that were there. Atiku said this, Obi said this, so many other presidential candidates said theirs, even Kwankwaso said this is what I'm going to do. There is nothing wrong in collecting these ideas and using them for the benefit of Nigeria. In fact, as a matter of fact, that's the only way you win opposition to your side. That's my
Hmm.
point.
That is a very, very, very strong place to land on. A lot of questions have been raised. Nigeria is our only country, and if you pick over a responsibility of a company that is hemorrhaging funds, that is losing money every day, it is due diligence for you to take steps to stop that from happening. Agreed. Uh, you start teaching the places, you start covering them. It may not happen overnight, but there's a lot that needs to be done. Nigerians are very, very tolerant and very, very smart. So this president, President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, has the opportunity to change things around the country, to leverage on the patience of Nigerians, to leverage on the understanding that he's receiving, to put things into action, to swing the economic pendulum as quickly as possible so that Nigerians will breathe, will have a sigh of relief. That is something he has, and it is right there in on his table. Thank God we have 60% of something removed and would like to see the ripple effect in the economy. We'd like to see changes. We'd like to see it affecting the masses. Kudos, good step. So let's see how it translates into actual uh, benefit for the Okada rider that just passed my door, for the woman selling tomatoes in the market, for that taxi driver that has to fix his engine. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you very much, Nicholas, for grazing our platform as it did happen. It's still DDM. That is Diaspora Digital Media. And we bring you this every day. Nick, it's nice having you. I hope you will be opportune tomorrow. We can pick on another issue.
Well, let's take it a day at a time.
All right, all right. Kevin Duckford, always available. You're wonderful. Thanks for being on the platform.
Yeah, it's nice to be in a platform with you, Mr. Rampon. A great broadcaster, sir.
That's great. And
Thank you.
we were earlier with Musa Ebayaya, who joined us from Mina. It's like he had some slight network connectivity. But thanks to you, Musa Ebayaya, we hope to catch you tomorrow. And Fun sent his apologies if you come today. Our technical guide and expert has been Alex Chigozie, handling the matters. Thanks, Alex. All right, he's muted. So, on behalf of the entire crew and our entire guest, DDM, gets to the root of the matter, and we say it like it is. Nigerian situations, Nigerian solutions. Join us tomorrow for another edition of As E Day Happen. My name is Ron Pam Jr. Have a pleasant day.
Okay.
Thank you and bye. Let's see how we
All right.